my name is Arlene, and this is a NAMI presentation. A little bit about me. I am a 69-year-old retired licensed practical nurse. Nice. I also worked at the airport. I was one of those people on the ground waving in planes. I love that job. I did it for 17 years. I love that job. I have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. They're all married now, and I had 3 grandbabies, 7, 5, and 4. They're all girls, and I just thank God that I'm able to roll around the floor with them. And my hobbies are, I like to knit, crochet, and do 1,000-piece puzzles. And when I'm finished with them, I glue them and I hang them on the wall. I also like swimming. NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. Grassroots is in the United States by 2 mothers who wanted and sought help for their children. And now NAMI is in every state. And this presentation is brought to you NAMI Metro. 505 West 35th Street, 8th Avenue on the 11th floor. Everything that we do over there with NAMI for consumers, it is free. We have peer-to-peer, where somebody with mental illness discusses all the diseases and treatments, you know, how to cope with stuff. We have family-to-family, where family members and friends who want to help their concerned loved ones, where they can come and learn about their children's or friends' illness and stuff. We have different groups. We have pet therapy, we have Get Your Funny On, arts and crafts, knitting, movie day, and many more things are available. We have a hotline. It's managed by somebody with a mental illness, so that you can call there, and if it's not an emergency, you could talk with somebody who could understand you. And they also have references for housing, education, and jobs.
Hi everyone. Hi. So my name's Sonja. You may be able to tell that I'm not from New York. I'm from Australia, but I've been here for nearly 8 years, and I was a foot messenger for about 2 years. So I learned the subway system like the back of my hand. So I think that qualifies me as a New Yorker. Thank you. I absolutely love it here. One thing I love is that New Yorkers are very open and expressive people. Like, you think what you say and you say what you think. And I absolutely love that. Australians tend to be more reserved and we don't really say what we actually think, which I feel very uncomfortable around. I like to say what I think all the time, and I do a lot better here than I ever did in Australia. So. And also, I've always wanted to move here since I was a little kid, and because I always kind of felt out of place in Australia, kind of felt strange, and I always knew that once I came to New York, that no matter how strange I think I am, there's going to be someone way stranger. So that's awesome. So I love the summertime, obviously. I love the beach, I love camping and hiking, I love walking. I walked from 104th Street to 236th Street about a month ago. I like the scenic route, it was a lot of fun. And I love stopping along the way and looking at people, and I love making up lives for them. It's a lot of fun recreating people however you want. Yeah, and I just really love, I do not like the winters, by the way. After my first winter here, after a week of it, I was like, all right, I'm good. Let's go away now. Yeah. If I could fly south for the winter, I would happily do that. But anyway, New York is awesome, and this is my home now, so that's really cool. Okay.
Dark days, my darkest day. A little bit about me. I got married, had my children. We bought a house in Long Island. We moved there and got divorced. I got the house, the children, and some bills. So in order to make ends meet, I started working 16 hours a day. So I did 16 hours a day, 5 days a week. On the weekend, I worked one job. And everything was fine until they started getting older. My oldest daughter, she was at Cornell. The other one's a year and a half apart, so she's in her last year of high school. So of course we're talking money here. So I started refinancing the house. Next year, both of them are at Cornell. And I kept refinancing and refinancing, so I refinanced us out the house. So I lost the house, came back to the Bronx after 25 years being away, and to say that it was a cultural shock, I tried to get a 3-bedroom house into a 1-bedroom apartment, so you can imagine how that looked. And the mice started taking over. And I don't deal with them dead or alive. So I basically was staying out the house. I'm doing 16 hours again, and I would just come home to get new clothes, take a shower, sleep maybe, and doing my 16. And I was getting very angry, very bitter, very depressed, lost my house. So I got into trouble on one of my jobs, and I was mandated to get a psych eval. So I got a psych eval, and I was shocked to find out that I'm bipolar NOS. I'm also personality disorder NOS. NOS means nondescript. I do not fit into any category. When I'm extremely manic, I'm able to bring myself back in on my own. When I'm extremely depressed, I have to go through a series of scenarios, I bring myself back in. I've never been in a psych ward. So I was told that I couldn't work anymore. And so I'm in my apartment. I lost my apartment. I had to go on welfare waiting for SSD to kick in. So now I'm living with one of my daughters, and I told my therapist, I said, look, I can't go on like this anymore. I'm used to my own things, my own way. So he said, the only way you're going to get what you want is to go into the shelter system. So I said, did you not hear me? I said, I'm already down. You got me going into a shelter. And after a few hours of screaming, howling, and crying, got to the shelter, and most of the shelters are armories, spiral staircase, no elevator. And I got there and I couldn't get up the stairs. I could barely walk.
So for me, I was born into an abusive family. My dad was very violent. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and he would beat myself and my younger sister, but not my older one. And I have theories on that, is because both my parents are the oldest of 3 kids, and they both feel like they were treated more harshly than their younger siblings. So I feel like that's why they left their oldest one alone. That's just a theory, I don't know. It's not a conversation that I've been able to ever have with my family. But so I remember early back, I was about 2 years old when my dad started to abuse me. But my mother has even told me stories about when I was a baby, the things that he did to me. I don't think he liked me from when I was born. I cried too much or something. So, and then my older sister also was really very cruel. It wasn't a case of siblings who fight sometimes and then they have fun together. It was just always her being really cruel. She would tend to be really nice to me and want to include me in her activities, and then humiliate me in front of as many people as she possibly could. I mean, she didn't need an audience. But that's how I grew up. And then I started school when I was 4 years old, and I thought, my little 4-year-old brain thought, I'm going to go to school and meet other kids the same age as me, and they're going to think I'm awesome, and I'm going to have all these friends, and it'll be so wonderful. But because how I learned to relate to people was to be afraid of them, I went to school and I was like a target immediately. Like, I was terrified of all the other kids. I thought they were only going to be nice to be cruel. So I was bullied from the moment I started school to the moment I finished school. And when I would come home from school, I would immediately throw my bag into my room and I'd bolt. And we had 3 parks down the bottom of our street, and I would hide in trees, I would hide in drain pipes, I would hide along a creek bed, I would hide anywhere I could find where there was nobody around. But I would sit there really terrified, because I know that there's nothing more than a frightened child that's hiding And you're like, everyone just knows immediately that you're afraid, and people who like to bully, that's perfect. So I would sit there terrified, and I would also start repeating all the messages that I'd been sent, that I was worthless and a loser, and I thought it was all my fault. So I would try to understand what I was doing wrong, and go over my whole entire day, week, or however long it had been since I thought about it, and try to understand everything I said and did, and everything other kids had said and done, and then I'd try to come up with new plans on how to try to fit in again and make friends, and it never worked out because I'm this little kid trying to understand something that I just couldn't understand. And I still honestly don't understand why people are the way they are. But in my 30s, I discovered that I had PTSD. I discovered it by a very public display of humiliation in New York City. But part of my PTSD is that I black out, so I actually don't remember what happened, but I know something happened because some people, the people who were around at the time, sort of, when I tried to talk to them and ask them what happened, they just sort of backed away, and they're like, it's fine, but then they wouldn't talk to me anymore. So I was like, okay, something went wrong, and one person told me that something was wrong. And in that moment I was appreciative because no one had ever said that to me before. Everyone's always like, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And it continues. And then this person told me that it was not okay. And at the moment I was glad she said that to me because I really needed to hear that. But the reality is no one's ever said that. So the next day I got very angry at this person. I was like, how dare you tell me there's something wrong with me? And all the, those years of being told there's something wrong with me is all comes back, and so I launched an online attack on this person. Needless to say, I've never seen any of those people again since. But that's okay, because that's not what I focused on. I focused on what happened and how it happened. So those are my dark days. Do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask us?
You were talking about your dark days, but did you both of you, have you overcome, as you stand down, as you sit down, have you overcome those dark days yet? Or are you in the process of overcoming those dark days?
Oh, I've overcome mine. Yes, it happened in 2004, 2005. It's just, it was the darkest day of my life. So, yes, overcome it.
I have for the most part, but quite honestly, I think if I were not, when I think about my childhood, if I were not sad about it, then I'd be concerned about myself. Because being sad about an abusive upbringing should be sad. Like, that's how I should feel. And so I've allowed myself to feel that way, and it's okay to feel that way.
Acceptance for me came rather easily. When it came to be myself and my concern was I've never been in the hospital, so you tell me I'm bipolar, but that NOS puts me in either type 1 or type 2. So did I know something was wrong with me all these years? I'm late 50s when I get diagnosed. I have hindsight. I could look back and see the manic parts of me. I would give myself 3 or 4 cycles during the year, and I would basically get them done. Fast talking, not eating, not sleeping. My diet was coffee and cigarettes. And the other side is the depression. I would go to bed for a couple of days, not wash up, barely, not communicating. And I would think of suicidal things. I thought about killing my children, killing myself, and then I would okay, you killed one, then what happens if you chicken out? Or, if I kill myself, somebody has to take on 3 of them, and nobody's good enough to take on 3. It would always be something to say, okay, get out the bed, get back on the horse, put me 16 hours, okay? So that's how I got along. And I did ask my children, I said, they were the recipients of this lung-treated bipolar person. And I said, because I've never been in the hospital, am I bipolar? And the 3 of them said, yes, Mom, you are. You have to live with me, okay? So, but did I know something was wrong with me? Yes, I did.
For me, so I grew up being told there was something wrong with me, but I didn't believe that what everyone thought was wrong with me was actually wrong. I knew there was something else going on. And I believe it was caused by what they were doing to me. I wasn't born that way. But nobody really cared about mental health or, none of that really existed in my environment. So I had to wait till I was 18 years old and I took myself to a psychiatrist and I was diagnosed with depression. But after learning how I function and my patterns that I follow, I would say that I fall into more of a bipolar category. But for me, acceptance, when I was told that I had depression, even though it may not have been the correct diagnosis, it was something to learn about. Like it gave me somewhere to start. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I would go to the local library and look up everything I could about depression because there was no such thing as the internet. So I was very limited resources. But I did my best, and I think I even watched anything I could watch on television that had a character in it or anything that would help me learn and understand what depression was, so then I could apply it to myself and see how it affected me and how it related to me. Then my next major acceptance was a long time later, when I found out about my PTSD. I immediately blamed my father, because that's easy, dad's always a problem. But what I realised after understanding the patterns that I follow, it's actually my older sister that causes it, because I always find a female that fits into that category, in that place, that role, and I attach myself to them and try to develop a relationship with them, the one that I wanted with my sister. But at some point, of course, this isn't who that person is, and so it all goes and falls apart and ends up in the next PTSD episode. But I had to accept that it was actually my sister who was the cause of my PTSD, which that was very difficult to do because she was my world. When I was little, I thought she knew everything. She was the greatest of everything. No matter what she did, I still thought that for quite a while. But at some point when I was probably like 12 years old, I think it started to fall apart, and she basically broke my heart, and it never healed. And then my most recent one, probably my most important acceptance, is that although my dad and my sister are the ones who started this in my life, I'm the one continuing it. I haven't lived in that environment for a very long time, and I'm continuing the negative behaviour, the negative thinking, and I'm way better at it than my dad and my sister ever could be, because I know myself much more than they ever will, and I'm very skilled at hurting myself. So I learned that if I can be trained into thinking that way, I can train myself out of thinking that way. So that's one.
Treatment for me consists of, I take a lot of medicines. When I was forced to stop working, I was diagnosed with diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, diverticulitis, stomach disease, and PVCs, extra heart cancer. So I take all that medicine for the things that I have. It doesn't have me, I have it. And so taking psych medicines, that's just some more to take with my other medicine. But I make sure that my medical doctor and my psych doctor, everybody's on the same page with all these medicines I'm taking, so everybody's interactive. I see my psych doctor every 3 months, I see my therapist once a month. But this did not happen overnight. I've been in therapy and stuff since 2004. So over the years, I graduated to every 3 months and once a month. I try to eat better. And instead of frying foods, I put them I bake them. But if I want some fried chicken or fried fish, I'll fry it, okay? I stay away from fast foods. Sleep, I must get 5 hours sleep or more. The sleep, not sleeping could lead to other things. Stress, I avoid stress. If I see you coming down the block, I go the other way. And to avoid stress, I do a lot of exercises. So that keeps the stress down. And in my family, since my daughters are bipolar, and so their husbands and my significant other They know about our condition, they know about the warning signs and stuff like that. And we call each other just about every day or every other day just to check it. And we found that even though we're on medication, if we get too happy, too upset, too angry, it could get us into trouble.
So for me, remember I said when I would hide away, I try to understand what I was doing and go over the way I was thinking, my behavior and all that sort of stuff. After my PTSD episode in 2013, I decided that I needed to do something now or I might not get another chance. So I decided that I was going to take on my own treatment because I tried 2 types of medication and 2 professionals in the past. I didn't like the medication and the professionals weren't telling me anything I didn't already know about myself. I would tell them basically, so I felt like I could do it on my own and do a better job. And I was used to doing it on my own anyway. I'd never been taken for treatment of any kind. I had to do it myself. So why change that? So as I said, I was a foot messenger at the time, so basically a monkey could do my job. So I had all that time on my own where I could think about myself and try to understand what happened and what led to that PTSD episode. The actual episode itself mattered to me. It was why it happened and how it happened. And I ended up being able to trace it back to just very basic. It was just that negative voice that said, Sonja, you're an idiot. And I would tell myself that, everyone says that to themselves occasionally, it's fine, I'll just forget about it and move on. But the thing is, I wasn't doing that, I was repeating it, and then repeating it over and over and over again, and adding to it, and then before I knew it, that's all I was thinking, and then I'm out of control and I have no chance. So I had to accept that it really was for me that first little step, that I had to stop it right there and then, just to avoid any possibility of anything coming. And how I did that was by developing another thought process that basically yelled at that one and said, shut up, seriously, if you go down this road again, you really are an idiot, because we've been going through this for over 30 years, you don't need to do it, and it's exhausting, it's what, like I would just yell at myself. And then I would think, if people could hear what was going in my head right now, they would think I was crazy. And that would make me laugh at myself, and then my mood would change and off I'd go. But I would have to do this like multiple times throughout the day. It wasn't just once in a while, it was all day, every day for a solid 2 years before I could really learn to just not even go there and just change. I'm undoing a way of thinking that I've been thinking for over 30 years, and now I'm trying to completely change that. And it's a lot of hard work, so I trained myself like I was training for the Olympics. You don't turn up to the day of the Olympics or your event and go, I'm going to be great at this event. You've got to actually train really hard. And I figured if we put all this effort into hobbies and jobs, why wouldn't I put that effort into myself? And so finding my self-worth was very important. That one I had to force upon myself. But yeah, doing that, and it turns that I have to be conscious of myself all the time, like I don't really get a break from myself. And I recently went through an episode where I nearly was depressed for the first time in 3 years, and it was very uncomfortably close, and it was really hard work to avoid that, and it gave me some perspective on my daily efforts and not nearly as hard as what happens if I don't do it. So it's made it a little easier. Eventually it'll become natural, and I'll find that I'm not thinking about it all as much, but basically for me it's just repetition and taking things as they come, having some solid things, but seriously like yelling at myself is probably the most effective thing that I've done. Brutal honesty, all that, a lot of hard truths, things like that is how I went about my treatment.
Success for me was after I got my own apartment, I was still waiting. And then a year later, my oldest daughter, she said, Mommy, I'm going to print your book. So I said, what book? She said, all those papers there underneath your desk. I said, first of all, that's not a book. And I just stopped writing. So, I don't know what you're talking about. So she took the papers and she said, finished. So she said, you got 3 days, it's going to the printer. So I had to write the dedication and the back cover, and her and I for 3 days did all the grammar and spelling and stuff like that. And on the third day, she sent it to the printer. The book came back. It's called I Promised My Friend. It is in Barnes & Noble. Google Play, Amazon.com, and iTunes. Second book is coming out in October in my 70th birthday, and it's called Mama Days, Jewels, and Reflections. Swimming. After I learned how to swim, I asked to be taught the butterfly, and they said that, oh, you know, seniors don't do that, lifeguards don't want to do it. I'm like, look, I want to do the butterfly in honor of my mother, because when I was little, we go to Orchard Beach once a year, and she would do the butterfly going course, and I would say, do it again, mommy, do it again, and she would do it again. I said, do it again, mommy, do it again. She said, look, child, this is a lot of work. So a lifeguard, he did teach me how to do the butterfly, and so now, like, I dive into the deep end of the pool, and I do the butterfly. And so, you know, I think I'm up there with Michael Phelps, okay? Now, the really tops off my swimming, June 22nd, just passed. There was a New York Parks Senior Swim Olympics. And no butterfly in there. And I was told I was picked to do the freestyle, backstroke, and breaststroke. And I placed third in the female 25 meters freestyle. So I placed third. I got me a medal for that. And
success is hopes and dreams. So I promised myself when I was little that I was going to move to New York, and here I am. And I came here to find my feet. I came here because I needed an airplane ride between my family and I. And I wanted to just relearn myself, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job of that. I've come a long way in the last 3 years. It's something that's going to be going for the rest of my life. But I've come leaps and bounds, so I'm really proud of myself for that. It's probably the best thing I'll ever do for myself. And I'm also writing a book. It's called NAMI Mental Lives. It's more about my recovery rather than my abusing childhood. I feel like that's been done a lot, and I don't need to do that. I find my recovery much more fun and interesting. I want it to be full of humour. I believe that's the best way to talk about these things. And doing this also, I literally Googled public speaking mental health and ended up here. I never thought I'd have a room full of people who are going to listen to me. So thanks. And I actually am about to start creating a TV show for BronxNet that's about conversations just like this, showing people that we can all just talk about this stuff without getting more heavy and sad and depressed and whatever. It's just a conversation, and I'm really excited about doing that. So yay! I think that's enough dreaming for now. Yeah. All right, thank you.